Yes, I see. I understand. But it has to be done by Friday. Is that possible? Good, good. It's very important. We'll be in touch. Thank you. Goodbye. Mrs. Lee, you've got an exceptional CV.
Well, thank you, Mr. Stevens.
I don't quite understand why you left Spectre. According to this, you were in a position of considerable responsibility.
That's true. I was very satisfied with my job at the beginning. I had a very prestigious position and many high-profile projects were sent my way. However, once Spectre was taken over by a Japanese multinational, things just took a turn to the worse. My boss was let go, many of my colleagues were transferred, and I was relieved of my duties. And of course, well, maybe I shouldn't tell you.
Please do. No reason to be afraid.
Well, the truth is, I just didn't get along with my new boss.
I appreciate your frankness. Sincerity is one of the main qualities that I look for in my employees. But tell me, Mrs. Lee, how are your bookkeeping, invoicing, and administrative skills?
Excellent, I would say. But I wanted to speak to you about an...
Are you familiar with the publishing market?
Yes, to a certain degree. But as I was saying, ever since I was a child, I've always been fascinated by...
You can tell me about your dreams at another time, Mrs. Lee. Currently, we're busy with our year-end balance sheet, and I need a well-trained assistant to prepare an assessment of our administrative expenses and to study our assets and liabilities. You, considering your experiences, appear to be a perfect fit.
Well, thank you, Mr. Stevens. But once this emergency has blown over, I was wondering if perhaps you could take me into consideration as
Yes?
as an author. I'm quite talented. My literature professor at university used to encourage me.
This is not a school, Mrs. Lee. I got in touch with you to speak to you about our marketing office. That's what I'd like to hire you for. Please don't be offended, but keep your dreams to yourself for the moment. As far as books are concerned, we can get started on the bookkeeping immediately.
Certainly. But later?
We'll see. We'll see.
Excuse me, my name's Victoria Lee. Today's my first day at work and I'd like to know... Great. Great way to start. Where is everybody? Mr. Stevens told me I was going to meet my new colleagues and they were going to explain everything. Wonder if I've come to the wrong department.
Ah, you must be the new arrival. Pleasure to meet you. I'm Rachel.
The pleasure's all mine. My name's Victoria Lee.
Mr. Stevens asked me to show you the office and explain everything. So, over there is the fax and the photocopier. This is your desk and computer. What else? Oh, yes, you'll find a coffee machine down the hall. But please, remember...
Few breaks, and please keep them short.
This gentleman is Gary Reynolds, head of marketing.
How do you do? I'm Victoria.
Mr. Stevens tells me that we're going to be working closely together. I must say, it's quite a pleasure to spend so much time with such a lovely young lady.
Happily married woman. Married with a son, as a matter of fact.
Well done, Victoria. Let him know who's who. Gary's the kind of guy who can't control himself with attractive women.
Thank you for the compliment, Rachel. Let's get down to work. Here's an analysis of last year's investments. As you can see, we've consistently improved our bottom line in all sectors. Even if, as far as I'm concerned, we need to move more aggressively into the market.
What exactly do you mean?
Well, improve our e-commerce play, for example. Let's imagine for a moment that Pilgrim were to develop an advanced online catalog that would allow users to purchase directly online. Don't you think that this way we could dramatically cut our distribution costs?
Certainly. But what does Mr. Stevens think?
Well, he's a bit old school in his way of thinking. According to his worldview, we should focus on sales through more traditional channels. I, on the other hand, would be thrilled if you saw things more along my lines. Why don't we develop a realistic marketing strategy that includes possible e-commerce earnings? Perhaps we could convince him together.
I'm afraid I can't at the moment, Gary. I've got to focus on the bookkeeping to begin with.
Listen, why don't we have a little dinner together tonight and then continue working at my house?
I'm married, remember, Gary? Statistics, accounts, reports. Not much has changed from Spectre. And I was hoping for a more creative position.
See you later. Oh, hello. You must be the new hire. I'm Anne Baxter.
I'm Victoria Lee. I recognise your name. Have we met before?
I don't think so. Or perhaps we met at the Red Lion pub. I often go there with my friends.
No, it doesn't sound familiar. Actually, I have a son, so I don't get out much. But still, I've heard your name before. Just a moment, now I remember. We met on the telephone when I was still working at Spectre. We both had that problem with our courier, Fast.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes, I remember now. You were having problems with a shipment to China. Gosh, what a coincidence. Well, who would have ever thought we would end up working together? So, how are things going?
Well, it's still too early to say. Today's my first day at work.
Oh, well, I presume you've already met Gary.
Yes, earlier. We're working on a project together.
And I bet he's already invited you out to dinner.
Yes, as a matter of fact.
And he's probably told you that he loves working with charming young girls such as yourself.
Yes, and how do you know?
He always uses the same line. He did the same with me. How original. Well, I'm pleased that you've joined us here, and, well, I hope we'll become great friends.
Yes, well, I'm sure we will. You're very nice. And who knows, maybe that telephone call was destiny.
Who's in charge of delivery to the Blue Moon bookshop?
Ann and I. Why?
They've just telephoned complaining that they haven't received anything yet.
Well, that's impossible. I sent the delivery 5 days ago.
That's just it. I don't understand what could have happened. The merchandise should have arrived by now. Anne, call the shipping agents to find out what's up.
Hello, am I speaking to Fast Shipping? This is Anne Baxter from Pilgrim Publishing. I'd like to follow up on the merchandise we sent 5 days ago. Sorry? What? That's impossible. There must be some mistake. You can't have delivered it. Our client has just telephoned saying that they haven't received anything yet. Okay. Okay, I'll take a look at the paperwork and get back to you. Yeah, bye-bye. Well, Fast claims that the goods were signed for by the consignee.
Rachel, go get the bill of lading. We need to look into what caused this mistake. Gary, are you sure you provided the exact address?
Certainly, I still remember it. It's 35 Lafayette Avenue, Orange.
That's it, all right. What about the duty? Do you remember paying it?
Duty? Excuse me, Mr. Stevens, but we're EU members and aren't required to pay duty. Merchandise is free to move between the member states, and duty is no longer required, nor is documentation.
EU? What does Europe have to do with it?
Excuse me, but Orange is in France, isn't it?
Good God, Gary. Blue Moon is in Orange, but not in France. Orange is a city in Massachusetts, USA. Call the bookshop immediately.
What an idiot. That's why I paid less on freight charges than was budgeted.
Hello, Pilgrim Publishing. This is Anne Baxter.
How may I help you?
Hello, this is Victoria Lee. I'm calling in regards to the shipment. I was wondering if you had
Any news yet?
Yes, actually,
Actually, I was just about to call you.
unfortunately, there's been a misunderstanding. But don't worry. We're taking care of things on our end, and you should receive
The goods very soon.
Could you tell me exactly what's happened? My boss is extremely upset. The shipping documents were in order. According to the bill of lading, the supplies should have already arrived. Can you explain why the merchandise is blocked in the custom warehouse?
Customs? Oh, no, you see, I'm afraid there's been a slight problem in addressing the goods, and they've been sent to a destination in France instead of Massachusetts.
France? Massachusetts? What are you talking about? The merchandise was destined for China.
China? Excuse me, are you the owner of the Blue Moon in Orange, Massachusetts?
No, I'm not. I work for Spectre. We're a multinational sporting goods manufacturer. I'm speaking with fast shippers.
Well, actually, no. This is Pilgrim Publishing. I'm afraid you've got the wrong number. But we do have something in common. We both use the same
Courier.
Life is funny. I dial a wrong number, and who do I call? A publishing house. Maybe it's fate. Nice young woman as well. What was her name? Anne Baxter, that's right. We use the same couriers and are both having problems with deliveries. What a strange coincidence.
Mrs. Lee, have you spoken with fast shippers yet?
Not yet. The number's always busy.
We have to figure out what's happened. This delivery delay is costing us a lot of money. The courier assured us that the merchandise didn't have to pass through customs, that it would have left their warehouse with the customs bill already compiled, without any additional customs requirements.
That's right. Considering the shipping costs, they're so high because they include all international delivery costs, such as transit, loading and unloading, assembly, and warehouse storage costs.
Just a moment. I've got it. Did you remember to attach the certificate of origin, Mrs. Lee?
The certificate of origin? I don't really know what that is. It's never been required for our shipments.
The certificate of origin is that document which states the merchandise's country of origin for customs purposes. It's absolutely necessary for companies doing business in countries which don't belong to the EU, provided upon customs officials' request. And China is one of those countries.
I'm sorry, Mrs. Collins. I didn't know. I swear it. Up until now, I've never taken care of shipments.
This is going to be one very expensive mistake. Oh, by the way, I'll be taking our losses caused by this delay out of your salary.
Welcome back, Gary. How was the International Book Fair in Frankfurt?
Great. I cultivated a number of interesting contacts that could lead to great opportunities. I also participated in a very important conference on the current state of affairs in the international book market.
Oh, do tell, Gary.
Yes, okay, but just a brief summary because I've really got to get going. Mr. Stevens wants a report on the trade fair ASAP, and I've been away for 3 days, so I've got a ton of work to catch up on. In any case, a number of the top company representatives from the largest international publishing houses participated. The most interesting presentation was surely that of John Schumann, one of the top experts in the publishing sector.
And what did he have to say?
Excuse me, just a moment. It's one of my contacts from Frankfurt. As I was saying, John Schumann, using the most current data as his starting point, he determined that the publishing market is growing slowly and that the number of readers is stagnant. It's the readers who already buy books and who want to increase the size of their libraries who are responsible for sales.
To cut a long story short, the current crisis has been around for a while.
Unfortunately, yes. Just the other day, a friend of mine from Amsterdam in the publishing trade was telling me that his company has had to let 15 people go since the beginning of the year.
You're kidding. Does that mean that we could become redundant?
No, Rachel, I just finished telling you that the trade fair was a huge success. We've just got to look at these things over the long term. It's the latest technologies that will offer the most success in this market.
What do you mean?
I'm talking about digital editing. We are on the cusp of a revolution in publishing. In other words, the transition from printed publishing to digital publishing.
I'm afraid I don't agree with you, Gary. Internet, email, CD-ROM, DVDs, and all electronic gadgets put together will never substitute the joy of reading a book.
I know, Rachel, you are a Luddite, but this is the future. The owner of a multimedia publishing house from Stockholm told me that they were able to greatly lower production, distribution, and warehousing costs, all due to digital publishing. Not only that, but just think of the level of interaction we can achieve with readers via internet. And besides that, just a moment, excuse me.
I bet it's one of your important contacts from Frankfurt.
Yes, as a matter of fact, it is.
Judging from your expression, I'd say that these contacts are mostly female.
Oh, hi, Victoria. Why weren't you at the meeting this morning?
Which meeting?
The meeting that Mrs. Collins called with all the department heads to come to grips with the situation. And I quote, to discuss the means with which we can improve both production and company efficiencies.
No one told me anything. I bet she did that on purpose, my darling boss. She wanted to get back at me for a mistake I made on a shipment. She always keeps me out of the loop on all the important developments and makes me do the work of a secretary. I hate her.
Come on, Victoria. Chin up. Things will get better.
I'm not sure about that, Paul. Anyway, tell me, what did you discuss at the meeting?
Well, you can imagine the tone that Mrs. Collins used. She prefers cold and distant. She urged us all to work even harder to overcome this difficult moment for the company.
According to her, we should be working 24/7, 365.
Listen to this. She told the warehouse manager to calculate the efficiency of workers more precisely as they go about their tasks, and if necessary, to lengthen their hours. Then she invited Mr. Rover, the personnel director, to evaluate the necessity of any new hiring. She told him that from now on, each and every short-term or long-term plan must first be evaluated and approved by her.
I always said she was a dictator.
Yeah. And she claims that we should be delighted at her flexibility, and that many corporate heads she knows would just resort with a huge personnel cuts to improve the situation.
Oh, what an understanding woman.
You bet. Then she added that companies need to meet deadlines and to work within strict budgets in order to keep clients satisfied and remain competitive in the market. Finally, referring to you, she reminded us all that delays and errors in projects are absolutely unacceptable. What are you doing, Victoria? Are you taking notes?
No, I'm writing my letter of resignation. Paul.
Don't tell me this is true. Are you really going to leave?
Yes, Paul. I just can't stay here. Since Mrs. Collins has arrived, the work climate has become unbearable. She never misses an opportunity to humiliate me and to assign me the most demeaning tasks.
And what are you going to do now?
Well, I've got in touch with a number of companies. This afternoon, for example, I have an interview with a publishing house.
Publishing house? You're not going to become an author, are you?
Precisely. You know it's always been a dream of mine. I don't think the interview is going to focus on my literary talents. But, Paul, you look awful. What's the matter?
I'm a bit concerned about things. We're having a meeting with the major shareholders of Spectre to take a look at the balance sheets.
And is that a problem?
Well, as you know, the year-end balance sheets provide an overview of the economical, fiscal and fiduciary effectiveness of our management. And I certainly hope that scrutinizing the books won't uncover inconvenient discrepancies that could lead to a change of a company leadership.
What exactly are you referring to?
As you know, things haven't been rosy lately, even if there has been a slight improvement in share prices during the last quarter. However, at the same time, the outstanding debts to our suppliers have also increased. In other words, our revenues don't cover our expenses.
The situation is serious then.
That's right. I'm afraid we'll need to resort to additional outside financing. I've been calculating the various balance sheet entries to understand what's causing our debts and try to develop a plan of attack to get our weak points under control. The results are anything but encouraging. As you well know, the solidity and integrity of our financial core assets are indispensable to keeping our production capabilities intact and revenues flowing.
I certainly wouldn't want to be in your shoes at the meeting.
No kidding. I'm predicting lightning and thunder. I wish I didn't have to participate. Perhaps I could come down with a sudden case of flu or something. How about kidney inflammation accompanied by high fever caused by a highly contagious virus mysteriously present in the company? You'll laugh, but now that you won't be here, I'll have to double the work. By the way, they don't happen to need someone else at the publishing house you were speaking about.
So you're a secret author as well?
No, but I can do a lot of things. For example, use a computer, make photocopies, send faxes. That should be enough, shouldn't it?
What a clown. I'm going to miss your jokes, Paul.
Hi there, this is VIPS TV. Today we're going to study about days of the week, okay? There are 7 days during the week. So let's start it with me. Monday, Monday. Tuesday, Tuesday. This is American English, and in British English we say Tuesday, Tuesday. This one, Wednesday. A lot of my students say this is Wednesday. They think this is ED, so they say Wednesday, Wednesday. Or some people say Wednesday, Wednesday. Sorry, they are not correct, okay? This is Wednesday, Wednesday. This one, Thursday, Thursday. Remember, okay, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, we have S in the middle. So remember, okay, in the middle. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. This one, TH. So remember, put your tongue between your teeth like this. Thursday,